Let's talk about the Niners defense first against Bryce Young and Ted McMillan and this Panthers offense. What's the key for the Niners in this matchup?
Oh, you know, prior to this week, Carolina's thrown for 185, 190 yards a game, and they come out and the kid throws for 487 and 3 touchdowns. And they got receivers now, McMillan and Leggett, catching touchdown passes and balls close to 100 yards or more in yardage. The key thing, and also the one thing about which is a plus for the Niners, is the number of sacks that Bryant they've nailed him. Okay. Now the bottom line with Bryce is that he had 5 sacks against the Falcons. Can the Niners get there? He's showing that he can complete balls. So if I can't get the pressure on him, and he can stand back there and pick apart my secondary, I can't allow Leggett to run by me. He's one of the bigger vertical threats that they've got. McMillan's catching balls left and right. So how can I corral them? The run game, didn't do a lot this past week. Dowell's not bad, but he's not a household name. So the one thing about which I'm concerned is, how well are the Niners going to tackle in space if they're playing a soft zone and allowing these receivers and running backs and tight ends to catch the ball? Because they can catch it for a 5-yard throw, but are they going to gain 5 or 6 yards after the throw, or are we going to hold them to the catch of 5 yards and then only 1 additional yard after the catch with contact? So the other thing is, are my underneath coverage guys, my linebackers, without Fred Warner there, are they going to be able to tackle in space and secure the tackle, or are we going to have Carolina Panther guys falling forward for 3 and 4 more yards after a catch? And all of a sudden, from a 2nd and 5, where it should have been, now becomes a 2nd and 2 or 2nd and 3 situation.
I see. So Tatum Bethune won't be playing in this game. He's got, I believe, a high ankle sprain. So you say this is going to be a game where Upton Stout, Curtis Robinson, D. Winters, a safety down around the line of scrimmage, those guys tackling the corners will determine just how good the Niners defense is in this game.
It's going to be, if I'm going to play zone, if Salah's going to play a soft zone and try to keep everything in front of him, now you're conceding the catch, but you cannot concede additional yards after the catch. The key thing is, okay, if I'm going to let them catch it at 4 or 5 yards, I've got to be able to be there and make the tackle at 4 or 5. If you start to see the Panthers going with a 5-yard catch and they're gaining 4, 5, 6, 7 yards after the catch, and it takes multiple Niners to try to bring them down, the Niners are in for a long night. But if I can catch it and tackle right there, then I've got a chance to make the Panthers have to execute and play after play to march down the field methodically and not give up yards after the catch.
One thing I've noticed when Saleh goes to this philosophy of defense, this approach of soft zone, make the offense make a mistake. Offenses tend to go at Renardo Green, and they tend to want to make him tackle. It seems like he's maybe their best corner in man-to-man coverage, but in zone, he's not a good tackler, or teams are trying to make him be physical, and you sort of take away what he does best. That's an interesting one to watch because, I don't know, what have you noticed from Renardo Green in terms of his physicality on the edge?
The bottom line is, theoretically, our philosophy was always we're going to draft corners to cover, not to tackle. And so the thing is, if you're going to run a zone package.
You didn't play soft zone with the Raiders, though.
Yeah, you have to be able to evaluate how well your players are going to tackle if you're going to be a soft zone ball club.
Yeah. It seems like a waste of Diamador Lenoir.
Well, he's not being attacked in the passing game, so he's forcing opponents to have a half-field offense. So in one respect, that's a positive, but then on the other hand, can those players who are being attacked and on whom the opponent is focusing, are they going to be able to hold up? And if not, how can I hold them up? For example, if I need to give him help on the weak side, I can play Lenoir man-to-man and zone the other half of the field, so I have extra defenders shoring up where I'm the weakest part of my defense.
Let me ask you this. So the Niners, they have a choice. They know they don't have a pass rush. They can either try to manufacture one by rushing 5 and 6, or they can just concede that they won't have one that day, play soft zone coverage, and try to tackle. They brought pressure against the Rams. It didn't work. They have Matt Stafford, and they got a bunch of big plays. So they went the opposite approach against the Cardinals, who are terrible, and they won, but Jacoby Brissett really did complete, an NFL record of completions. Which approach do you think is the smartest way to go against the Panthers? It's not Matthew Stafford, but it's definitely a better quarterback than Jacoby Brissett.
I know this is going to be, that's why the hardest part for the Niners for Saleh is going to be able to say he may have a game plan going into the game, but then once he sees what the Panthers are doing and how they're attacking his defense, he needs to be able to make in-game adjustments and not wait until halftime to say, okay, wait, we got to go to plan B, or we got to get out the whiteboard here and draw up something else defensively. He needs to go into a game where he has a second coverage concept or a second front concept or another look that he can present somewhere in the first quarter, also to be able to give a changeup to Bryce Young and to the Carolina offensive scheme, where they have to be able to make some adjustments themselves as opposed to them dictating to what he's going to have to do.
Seems dangerous to me to let Bryce Young play 7-on-7 football. He was the number one pick in the draft. You saw what Jacoby Brissett did to your defense. The reason you beat the Cardinals is because they gave you the ball on the 1-yard line. They gave you the ball on the 10-yard line. They committed 17 penalties. You didn't necessarily play winning defense. And if you have that same approach to the Panthers, their quarterback's a lot better than the Cardinals quarterback. And Ted McMillan is a really good wide receiver. You liked him a lot before the draft. Is he everything you expected?
He is, and that's why I thought he would be an early first-round pick. In this day and age, it's all about throwing the football, and you've got to have tall, lean, lanky, explosive players on the outside. The quickest way to get to the end zone from point A to point B is over the top of the defense. If I throw the ball over the top, I've only got to beat one corner. If I run the ball, I got, 11 defenders between me, the ball carrier, and my end zone, their end zone. And so, hey, that's why the thing is, the old axiom of speed kills. I got to be able to go over the top, and that's going to be a concern. Now, if Saleh does play man coverage, I would not be in favor of having one of his corners, other maybe than Lenore, line up and play bump and run. I don't want to see Upton Stout line up on the slot. And if I'm smart, I'm the Panthers, I'm going to get McMillan in the slot and nickel against Upton Stout. I mean, the guy's so short you could eat soup off his head. Okay, the bottom line is the slot fade is a give-me touchdown against Upton Stout. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if I'm Carolina, how can I match up McMillan or Leggett against the weakest cover man of the Niners? And if I'm Saleh, I don't want to put those guys up in a bump and run situation and give the quarterback and the receiver an easy read to know what the coverage is going to be. And then all of a sudden, bam, the ball's going down the field over the top of the defense when I cannot afford to have that happen.
I see. That's a big reason Saleh can't really play man-to-man coverage right now, because once you see it, there's so many guys you can go. I was starting with Upton Stout. Oh, it's man-to-man coverage? Okay, well, we're going to put our best receiver in the slot, and we're going to run a fade, and he's 6'5", and he's 5'8", and he's been giving up these catches all year, and we know what's going to happen. It's going to be a catch or a penalty. So it seems to me like I don't really blame Saleh here because they didn't make the move at the deadline. His choice is to play man-to-man coverage and potentially let offenses go down the field fast thanks to big plays and penalties, or to play soft zone and just kind of slow them down and hope that the Niners offense can score faster.